Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Okay, so I'm going to paint a sunset over an ocean view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use fluid paint and I'm going to use a swipe technique to create some ocean and some sunset. And then I'm going to use my embroidery hoop to place over the sunset, and I'm going to swipe out some rays of sun as the sunset is setting and the reflection appears on the ocean. So I'm just going to have a bit of fun. I'm going to play with my paints. Some of them are leftovers from previous creations. I've mixed up some red and some orange to add to the paints I've already got. I'll take you in now so you can see the colours that I'm using. And don't forget, everything's listed in the description box below. I'm really excited to just have a bit of fun. So let's see what we can create. So I'm using an A2 sized canvas. It's just a standard canvas. I've got my paper ready for my swipe. I've got a swiping tool. I've got my embroidery hoop. And then I've got my colours over here. So I've got some blues from a previous creation, and that's what's going to create the ocean. That looks like white, but it's not. It's a yellow. And I will list all the colours in the description box below. But I've got some yellows left over from a previous creation. And then I've got some red and some orange, which will create the colours I really want to use for the sunset. Okay, so I'm going to start with the ocean, which is going to be using all my blues. And I'm literally going to layer my blues on the canvas, halfway up the canvas. And then what I'll do is I'll use my plastic swipe tool and swipe out that ocean colour. I'm using a combination of lighter and darker blues because that will reflect the movement of the ocean when we swipe it out. So this swipe tool is just a very thin layer of plastic, and all I'm doing is I'm starting in the middle of the canvas and I'm allowing that piece of plastic to connect with the paint, and I'm literally just going to swipe it in one direction. I'm not being too fussy, I'm just allowing the paint to glide across the canvas, allowing it to slide across because I'm using that swipe tool, and you'll see all the different tones of blue that we've used creates different movement and depth on that ocean. Don't worry too much if you can see quite a defined line in the middle. We're going to get rid of that later, but I just wanted to do that to ensure that I've got a consistent coverage of paint across my canvas. I'm just going to wipe off my tool, just wipe that clean. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the process. I will just tidy up my sides, and then I'll concentrate on the sunset part of this creation. So again, I'm just going to take my reds and orange, and I'm just going to place that on the other half of the canvas, just in lines. So when I come to swipe, I can just swipe in one direction. So just take your paint and layer that on the other half of the canvas. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into this, so when I swipe, that can infuse with the orange and the red. But I'm also going to use the yellow to put around the embroidery hoop, but we'll start that process shortly. So again, I'm just going to use the piece of plastic to swipe from one side to the other and then back again. So make sure it's clean. I've cleaned it off from the blues. Allow it to touch the paint and swipe all the way across. Change hands or move around your table if you wish, and just cover up that side of the canvas that you've layered with your oranges, your reds and your yellow, and just swipe all the way across until the white of the canvas can no longer be seen. So after tidying up my sides, I'm going to take my embroidery hoop and place it in the middle of the canvas. I'm just going to literally drop it into the centre. I'm going to just gently press down on the embroidery hoop to ensure that it's connected with the paint that's already laid on the canvas. And then this side, I'm just going to layer some of the yellow paint. That's going to reflect the sun. So I'm going to take 2 yellow tones. Everything's listed in the description box below. And then I'm literally just going to layer the yellow around that half of the embroidery hoop. Just slowly add that paint, and then I'll get my next colour, my next tone of yellow, and then add a little bit more of that colour around that half of the embroidery hoop. And then what we'll do is we'll take the toilet paper, it's a 3-ply toilet paper, and I'm literally going to use that as my swipe tool for the sunset. So I'm going to half my paper and then just connect the paper with the paint and swipe all the way along to the edge. And I'm going to repeat that process all the way round that half of the embroidery hoop, allowing the yellow to connect with the paper and then just gliding it right to the edge of the canvas. You can see by using the toilet paper and swiping across in a different direction. So the sunset that we created, we went from left to right and right to left. But the rays of the sun that we're going to do now go across a different direction. It's literally going to go across and create different patterns and designs. All we're doing is we're creating those rays of light from the sun. And that's going across the full half of that canvas. We will add in some oranges and some yellows to the water soon, just to reflect some of that reflection that we would get in a sunset. But we're just concentrating now on these lines from the embroidery hoop to the outer edge. And when we reduce our paper size, we create different lines and different widths. So once you've done the first set of lines, go back over using a different width paper to create smaller, thinner lines in between the thicker lines. That's going to really create the depth to this piece. So just fold your paper over, tear it off, and add it to the design as you go along. I'm just adding some paint into the centre now, some yellow. And what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to take my finger and I'm just going to go round in circular motions and blend that thicker line into the paint that's already on that canvas. That's just going to represent a different element to the sun within this creation. I'm now going to remove the embroidery hoop and lift it up slowly. I'm going to allow the paint to disconnect from the hoop before I drag it away. I'm just going to move some of that blue colour back into the blue ocean part. But I'm going to also take some of the yellows and some of the oranges and some of the red and drag that into the sea. That's going to reflect the reflection you would see in a sunset. I'm just going to go over some of the blue paint now, just to get rid of the indentation of the embroidery hoop that you could have seen there. By slowly swiping that blue paint from one side to the other, gets rid of the circle that was there, that was made by the embroidery hoop. I'm now going to drag some of the oranges and some of the reds from the sun into the ocean, because that will reflect some of the sunset reflection that you see that glistens off of the ocean when you see a sunset. And I'm going to add in some more of the reds and the yellows and the oranges into the sea and blend that in just to reflect that kind of glimmer and shimmer from the sun. This was such a fun piece to do, and sometimes the most simple pieces can be the most effective. I'm really happy with the sunset creation we've done today, with the balance of the ocean and the sunset, using the embroidery hoop for the sun, the toilet paper to do the rays of the sunset, and also blending in some of those colours to reflect some of the shimmers and reflections you see in the sunset. I'm going to take you in now for a close-up of the wet version. I'll let this dry and then I'll show you the dry version. And let me know what you think in the comments below. And let me know if you're going to try something similar. I'd love to hear from you. So here's the dry version, and it's dried really well. I love the movement of the rays of the sun. I love the shimmer that we've created in the ocean. I love all the different tones that we've used too. So yeah, I'm happy that we've achieved the sunset creation that we set out to do in the intention that we set right at the beginning. I'd love to know what you think. It's a very basic swipe technique to create something like this. So if you're going to do something like this, or if you use some of this method but change it up a little bit, let me know what you do. I'd love to see what you create. Thank you so much for joining me again for this video. Thank you so much for all of your support, and I really do hope I get to see you again in the next video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's free to do, and you get notified when I release new pieces. I can't wait to see you in the next one. So take care and have a great week. Bye.